Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I'm going to teach you about what is meditation. We're going to go over a summary of what meditation is, because perhaps you've heard the word before and you really don't know too much about it. Maybe you know a little bit about, well, I sit with my eyes closed and I try to clear my mind, or I know it's good for stress reduction, or it's one of those things that you know a lot about and you should be doing and you're really meaning to get around to it, but you just haven't done it yet because you've been very busy. And that's the camp that I fall into many times. I go on and off the wagon of my daily meditation practice. But today's video, we're just going to go over a summary. Meditation is a very deep topic. There's a lot of techniques, there's a lot of history, and there's an innumerable amount of benefits that are scientifically proven, because science has been studying meditation for a long time now. A, to see if the esoteric claims were true, but B, just to see if what other physiological benefits we can measure. And when science looks into meditation, science found that there are just so many benefits. And there's so many benefits to meditation, I can't fit all this information in one video. I would need a couple of whiteboards, I need a couple more markers, and you wouldn't want to sit and watch for like an hour as we go over all of it. So this is the beginning video in our meditation series. I'm starting this one off with what is meditation. We're going to go over a brief summary of what it is. We'll talk about some of the types of meditation. And then the next video we're going to do is going to be the benefits of meditation. And I will end this video with a brief instruction for just a very basic beginning meditation practice. But I want to kind of lay the framework and the groundwork first for what it is, the kinds and types, and the next video that you see that we release on this channel will be the video that goes over the benefits. I'm going to fill this whole board up with benefits. And if I find enough benefits, we may even have to do the big board behind the small board, because there are just so many studies, because every scientist is so curious about it and they really wanted to see. I think many of them just wanted to disprove it. There's no way sitting with your eyes closed can make you feel better, so they went out of their way to try to disprove it. And unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us, we've learned that no, meditation's amazing and it has a lot of great benefits for the body and the mind. So let's get into it. What is meditation? Okay, so meditation comes from the Latin for think deeply about, thinking, or to think deeply about. And there is no one catch-all solid definition for what meditation is. Meditation exists as a practice in spiritual traditions around the world, both Eastern and Western. But a somewhat common understanding of what it is a way of focusing one's awareness, focusing one's attention, focusing one's, I don't want to use the word mind, because the awareness that we have within ourselves exists before mind and before body. We are awareness. You hear the old saying, I think, therefore I am. No, he got that completely backwards. I am first, and then I think. You cannot think without being. And the being is the groundwork, and you don't have to think to be. Anyone who's done a lot of hallucinogens can understand that statement. You don't have to think anything. You simply are. You exist, the law of divine oneness. We all exist as this one plane of reality, as this one universe. And within that universe, we are awareness. So awareness is the space, the witness, the watcher. Even before that, I am that. And then mind comes. So meditation is more about shifting from mind to that plane of awareness and observing your mind and bringing it back as it gets distracted, and watching your thoughts like clouds in the sky. Instead of being the clouds and being identified with the thoughts, instead let's become the sky. Let's become the background, not the foreground, and let the clouds move through. Let the clouds and thoughts go through our awareness. There is no solid definition. Some people also throw the word mindfulness around too. Or mindfulness, in my opinion, is being observing and an awareness of the mind, mindfulness. Now, I think a basic definition we can use is meditation is a practice and a training tool for our awareness, for being identified with our awareness. It's a practice of focus. Because when you are meditating, you are observing, in the mindfulness tradition, you're observing your mind and your thoughts. We're not trying to force the mind to be quiet. We're not trying to force the mind to think no thoughts and, really doing it. No. Meditation is allowing. Meditation is relaxing. Meditation is watching the thoughts go by and seeing that when you lose your position in awareness and you get attached to a thought such that you become that thought, and then you're riding that cloud, the second you become aware of it, it's a joyful moment, and we take ourselves from that cloud and we gently bring ourselves back to awareness. And then we go up, got caught up again. And it's something where, the first breath, the first 10 breaths, you'll be caught by a thought. And then you come back, and you call another thought, and then you come back. That's the practice of the focus. Often, this practice can lead to a mentally clear, calm, and emotionally stable state. The more we practice not being identified with our thoughts, not being identified with the thinking mind and the thinker, not being the thinking entity, but instead being the ground of awareness, then the more calm and stable we are. Why? Because we're not identified with the thoughts, which change at the drop of a hat, which change like leaves in the wind. Instead, we are the background. We are the awareness in which all these thoughts are playing around. And in that way, we become more stable, both mentally and emotionally. Now, meditation is practiced in numerous spiritual and religious traditions. Usually we are most aware of them in the Eastern traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism and Zen, but they are also present in the Western traditions and specifically the Western mystical traditions. I mean, you can think of prayer in Christianity as a form of meditation. You are getting quiet and still and being in communion with God. And that can be a form of meditation. That would be a form of spiritual meditation. Now, when we talk about meditation, we need to also talk about the types of meditation. And there are a lot of ways you can split meditation up in different techniques that you can use, but we'll go over each of these in order here. Now, mindfulness we just talked about. Mindfulness is observing the mind. We're not forcing ourselves to have no thoughts. A lot of people think meditation is I sit and I'm trying not to have thoughts. No, that's completely the opposite. When you're doing that, you're not doing meditation the way it's supposed to be done because you're identified and attached to the thought that I should not be thinking thoughts. You just got tricked by the ego and coming into the back door where it's like ego sitting right next to you. Yeah, man, we'll watch that ego and make sure he's not thinking any thoughts or she. But you just got tricked again, from the back. No, it's more about that awareness, identifying as the awareness, identifying as the third thing, not the body, not the mind, but awareness, that fertile plane. And when you get caught up in a thought, you gently bring your focus and your awareness back to the present moment, back to the awareness. Because the second you're aware of a thought, you're no longer in the present moment. You're either in the past or in the future. To be present is to be present. To be present is to be fully aware, fully engaged in this moment. If you're thinking about the moment, then you're always stuck one thought away from where the actual action is, which is this present moment here. Be aware. What are your senses telling you about the moment? Be aware of your breathing, Now, related to mindfulness, and there's a distinction there between the mindfulness and the focus meditation. Mindfulness is more about observing the mind, hence mindfulness. Focus meditation is a different form. This is where we're training focus. And with training focus, we pick an object to focus on. Now, most focus meditation and most people think of following the breath. Most traditions, there's two main traditions when you follow the breath. You either follow it as the sensation entering and leaving the nose. You train your awareness to rest at the tip of the nose, and you focus on the feeling and the whole breathing process. You focus on the breathing in and the breathing out through the nose. And that's your entire focus. And what happens is, just like mindfulness, you'll notice that sometimes you lose the breath. Your mind gives you such an attractive thought that you just can't let it go by. You grab onto that cloud and you're off running with that cloud. Well, when you become aware of it, and you could become aware of it in that moment, it could be 30 breaths later that, you're halfway through the grocery list and what you're going to do for tomorrow when you remember, oh, I'm sitting here meditating. Don't beat yourself up, because that is not ideal for the process. We don't need to beat ourselves up. It's a joyful occasion. I got caught again. And then you bring yourself back. You bring that awareness back to the nose. You let the thought go. Not push it away, just let it go. Release the attachment to the thought. You can use your breath. You can use any of your senses. There's meditations where you just focus on your hearing. This will blow your brain too. Become aware of your ear hearing. Not what you hear, right? Not what you hear specifically, but aware of your ear hearing. Aware of what your ear listening feels like. But picking a sense, what do you hear? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? There's meditations where you leave your eyes open and you can literally, say you sit in the back porch, and it could be a meditation with your eye, focus with your eye sense of what is it that you see, Any of your senses can be used for that. You can use the mala bead, something with a touch sensation. So mala beads, and I don't have any up here. They're beads, and while you're meditating, the focus is the mala bead, and you use your finger and your thumb to go one bead at a time. The beads are in like a necklace, so you go, and usually one bead is bigger than the rest of the beads, and that when you hit that bead is when you change direction to go back the other way. So it's one of those things where as you're doing the beads, you might get caught in a thought, but then you'll hit that big bead, and it's so different from the beads you were thumbing through that can serve as the trigger to wake you back up that, oh man, I don't even know how many beads I went through, but I completely lost the bead. It was on autopilot. And then I hit the big bead, and it triggered me to become aware that, oh, I'm attached to a thought again. I better bring my attention back. Now, for some people, mindfulness meditation focus, like a sitting stationary meditation, is too difficult for them at first, or even ever in general. Well, they do make movement meditations. Movement meditations are great for people that are very active, that are full of a lot of energy. If you're someone who is very active, and just the energy in the body is just so strong in you, you might not be able to sit because that's just not your nature. Your nature is to do and to move and to be, in action. Well, for the action-oriented people, there's movement meditation. That's what Tai Chi is. Tai Chi isn't just simply an exercise. Tai Chi is also a meditation. It's movement, though. You work with the energy, you work with the energy of the body in a meditation. So we're calming the mind by focusing our awareness on the body, on the movement of the body. There's also walking meditation, where you quite literally, in most of the walking meditations, you look down, you kind of look down like this, and you're looking, all you see is your feet. And if you do it with a group of people in like a walking meditation practice, all you see, your whole world becomes your 2 feet and the 2 feet in front of you, and that's all you can see. And again, it's another object to get us out of the thinking mind and into simply the awareness of my feet, and you just walk around. Qigong is another practice and technique. It's not specifically meditation oriented. However, you can do certain forms of Qigong as a meditation. I'm not going to get too deep into what Qigong is in this video because that could be its own video, but it's, so think of it as a way of moving the life force or the Qi energy, throughout your body for different purposes. Well, there are some Qigong exercises and practices that are also a meditation where you focus on moving the energy, like Tai Chi. And what's funny enough, Tai Chi and Qigong actually come from the same root further up the tree. They just split off into their own separate things. But again, moving the energy, so instead of the thoughts, the focus being on the thoughts, we're focusing on the energy that we're moving around. And there are some yoga, and by yoga I mean physical, because what we practice in America as yoga is but one limb of a much more complete yoga system, yoga meaning union. And normally you don't even attempt physical yoga until you've done a lot of the mental work first in that spiritual practice. But in America, what we call yoga is really just the physical, like, exercisey part of yoga that's not necessarily the same thing as the entire system. But there are yoga practices, physical exercise practices, where yoga is meant to be a moving meditation. It is meant to be a focus for your mind, so the mind is quiet while the body is busy doing all these things. So that's some of the movements. Another form of meditation that people practice is mantra meditation. You may have heard of mantras before. So a mantra is where you repeat a phrase, either aloud or in your mind. And some would say that the mantra starts on the lips, and then it moves to the mind, and then it ends up settling in the heart, right? Either way you do it, the mantra becomes your focus. And what's interesting with mantra meditation is any mantra that you pick is kind of loaded. It's loaded with the energy, the intention, the manifestation of all of those who have practiced the mantra before you. And especially if you practice mantra with the Sanskrit word, Sanskrit words have power baked into them. Kind of like in the English language, we don't really have energy or magic built into the words. But the Sanskrit has actual juice because that's how it was created. It was created with the intention of having that magical juice in the actual uttering of the vibration that makes those words up. So with the Sanskrit mantras, you really tap in deep to that power. So a mantra, for example, would be a phrase like, one of the most common mantras you've probably heard of is the Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So you see how you would sit almost like a chant, and you would just repeat that mantra over and over and over. And as you're saying it, it'll get higher, in octave, and lower, and you'll get faster and slower. It becomes an energy, and it takes on a life of its own the more you practice this mantra. And, I've done mantras before where I've done them for weeks at a time. I've done them for days at a time. And it's like, it'll just run in the background. And sometimes you're not even aware of it. And then you bring your awareness back and you remember, oh, I was doing a mantra. And then you hear it in the back of your, your being just going in the back. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om. Yeah. And every mantra has a different purpose. So you can research and look up different mantras. We're going to do a video on mantra specifically. And that's why meditation is such a huge topic, because there's so many things that weave in and out of it. And I really do enjoy mantra. Mantras have purpose in your life. Sometimes you're called to it and sometimes you're not. I haven't been called a mantra in a long time, but just in doing that here, I can feel within me that I'm being drawn to a mantra. And I'm going to actually look that up after this video is done being shot, because I feel like I'm ready for a mantra again. It's been years. But there's so many different mantras, and they're all different kinds. There's power mantras, where when you say them, the goal is to generate power, power and force within yourself. There's mantras for spiritual practice. There's mantras for energy. There's mantras for calming the mind. There's mantras for all sorts of things. And they all have that baked in energy, because if you remember from our law of vibration video, everything is a vibration. Well, mantras carry with them the vibration, not only of the physical sound that you make when you say them, which with the Sanskrit is incredibly powerful, but also the vibration of the thousands and millions of people that have practiced that mantra before you. You tap into that frequency. You can tap into all those people that have been uttering that mantra, going back in the eons, of human history. You can tap into that and tap into the frequency of that energy. Now, there's also body relaxation. This is kind of a newer one, I think, in our Western world. And that's where we scan the body, almost like we roll through the body with a wave of relaxation. And as we go, usually from the head to the toes and then vice versa, we go through each muscle throughout the body, and we relax it. We consciously relax. Some traditions will do a tightening of the muscle first, so it's like tighten the jaw and then release, and then it's like tighten this and then release. And you go through each muscle progressively. Many athletes will use that before they go to bed. People use it in general to go to bed sometimes, that by going through this process, it quiets the mind, but then also relaxes the muscle, because by tightening the muscle to its tight 100% tightness, and then consciously, slowly breathing while we release it, lets it actually go below its base level of tightness. We have loving kindness meditation. This is a meditation where it's along the lines of the focus, but our focus is on sending and then receiving love and compassion in our mind's eye. So we can think of our family members, our friends. People even do loving kindness meditation for the earth as a whole, where we quiet. You may do a basic form of focus meditation first, where you use your breath to calm the mind. And then once the mind is calm enough, then we switch our focus over to the loving kindness, and we send out, and we engage our feeling in our heart as much to send out loving kindness to the universe, send out loving kindness to the world. And then, because we don't just want to give, we also want to receive. That's how we become balanced. We then imagine that the universe, the world, all the people are sending the love back to us. So we switch between the sending and the receiving of both. And then there's the visualization meditation. A lot of guided meditations would fall under this category, where you are visualizing a scene, you're visualizing imagery, senses, and this is in a way, again, to calm, to give yourself a focus. You could do the visualization meditation of walking through a forest or climbing a mountain. And the point of that is, again, to calm the mind by giving it something. The mind is like a dog, you know, you got to give it a bone to go after something. Otherwise, it's just gonna tears the house up, you know, when you're not home. So it's like being aware of the dog. When you catch the dog doing it, you bring him slowly back to just sitting in calm meditation. You know, but visualization meditations can be great along with the guided meditation, where you can choose to evoke different feelings and emotions within yourself based on the imagery and the figures that you're seeing. You can also engage your senses here too. And this ties into manifestation. Manifestation work goes very hand in hand with visualization, because you're visualizing what you want to manifest such that your mind, your subconscious mind specifically, cannot tell the difference between this reality around us and the reality we imagine. Why? Because what's around you isn't real. This is merely your mind's, your logical mind's creation based on the data from your five senses. The data from the five senses comes in, and then your mind creates and constructs this reality around you as the representation of what your senses bring to you. This isn't the real reality. This is reality filtered through at least your five senses, how well you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, as well as the filters and beliefs and thoughts you have about what things are. You know, if I see a snake on the ground or a spider, is that a fearful thing, or is that a cool thing, or is that a neutral thing? Well, I could line up three people and they'd all have completely different experiences of what that means. Even though we're all looking at the same reality, all of a sudden it's completely different for each of these three people. So that's why visualization works. We have videos on visualization in our 7 Secrets of Manifestation video series that goes into that. But the important takeaway here is start today. You know, start meditating today. A very basic meditation I'll give you. This video is already getting a little long, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. But start just 5 minutes. You know, 15 minutes a day is perfectly fine. You don't need to do any more than that. If you wanted to go for more, 20 minutes, you know, maybe 30, if you've got time and you find it easy to sit and you enjoy it. But 15 minutes is perfectly fine. There's a lot of research that shows even a couple minutes is fine. Some research shows 8 minutes is the needed time. Whatever, practice, you know. Simple thing to do for meditation, simple beginner meditation, right? Sit in your chair. Don't do this while you're driving, obviously, because you'll be closing the eyes. Sit in your chair. Close your eyes. Just breathe normally. Act normal. What do I do with my hands? No. Breathe normally, you know. Focus on the breath coming in and out. We're not doing exaggerated, deep, or short breaths. Just focus on the breath. You can focus on the nose where it comes in and out. Other traditions will focus on the belly, the diaphragm, as the diaphragm rises and settles. But pick an object of focus, either the nose or the belly, and focus on your breath. And identify with your awareness at either point of breathing. And you're going to notice as you first start to do this, your mind is going to wander, and you're going to realize how active your mind is. It's going to seem more active, actually. But the reality is your mind was always that active. You just weren't aware of it yet. Now that you bring more awareness, you're shining your light of awareness on it. You're just seeing how active and all over the place your mind is normally. And as you get caught up in a thought, no problem, bring your awareness back to the breath. And when you first start practicing meditation, especially if you've never done it before, it may be difficult. You may never have your awareness on the breath for more than a second before a thought catches you and takes you away. And that's totally fine. That's why it's a practice. It's a meditation practice, not a meditation perfect. That's right. You can. Yeah, that's copyrighted. Don't copy that. Just kidding. Meditation's a practice. It's not perfect, right? The more you practice it, the better you get at it. The more easily your awareness will be able to stay focused. That's the training of the awareness and the focus. And we're going to go way deeper into a lot of these topics. So just keep it locked on the channel. We're going to make this is going to be a whole video series. So for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days or so, it's going to be all meditation. So I highly recommend that you stay locked into this channel. We're going to bring you some more things. The next video will be the benefits of meditation. And then the video after that is going to be a very deep practice of a mindfulness meditation. And then we'll probably make a video for each of these just to go over different tips and techniques to see what's going to resonate with you and be most helpful for you in your life. All right, guys. Well, that's what meditation is as a summary. I hope you choose to make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.